with that shuffling technique there. Carter has presented. I'm sure we'll get a die roll here shortly. Figure out who's on the player who's draw, then we can base favorites on that. The red deck is very, very much play dependent. Carter rolls a 10. That's a solid start. And Bryce rolls a 4, so Carter's going to be on the play here in game 1. Carter opens his hand. Looks decently happy. I'm not sure what the phone's doing. Looks like a text message real quick. Bryce, see his hand. I see a Whirling Outburst, Mountain, Wild Slash. A Temple from Carter starts off game 1. He reveals and puts it on top. There's a Mountain draw for Bryce. He's going to put that into play. Tap and play Monastery Swift Spear and drop Carter to 19 off the bat. Carter's going to untap, draw, play the Elvish Mystic you found, and another Temple. He's going to scry, and think about that one for a second. Carter is 19, passes the turn back to Bryce. Bryce draws his card, plays a Mountain, plays a Foundry Street Denizen, and Wild Slashes the Elvish Mystic, triggering Prowess. That's going to drop Carter to 17 and stem Carter's mana development. He's going to play a Wooded Foothills Crack It, go to 16, and play a Courser though, and that's going to that might put the brakes on Bryce for a second, depending on what he has in hand. He's going to play Shuffle Up, present a cut, reveal a forest on top of his deck, pass the turn back to Bryce. Bryce is going to draw a card. I see a Whirling Outburst. And it looks like that's going to be a play, and that's going to get a couple Foundry Street Denizen triggers and the Monastery Swift Spear Prowess trigger. And he decides not to attack with the Monastery Swift Spear. And Carter's going to present the trade with a Courser. He's going to untap, draw that forest that was on top of his deck, play the second Courser, reveal a forest, play it off top of his deck, go up to 17, and reveal another forest on top of his deck. And Bryce is going to draw for a turn. Play a 1-mana creature. I'm not really sure what that is. And a Dragon Fodder. Putting some more goblins into play. Triggering the Monastery Swift Spear. If anybody knows what that one, that goblin, that new Magic Origins card that was played, please let me know in the chat. Carter, however, is going to untap, play a third Courser, his second one onto the battlefield, third one of the game, and gain 2 life, and he's going to jump up to 19. Trying to stem this tide from Bryce, who is adding to the board pretty heavily. Carter does have a Dragon Lord Atarka sitting on top of his deck, so we'll see what happens. Bryce is going to put a counter on it and on that creature and drop Carter down to 1 or to 18, sorry. But Carter is then going to play another land and Apollo Chronos, jumping his life total back up to 20. And Carter's doing his best. He is a turn away and a land away from casting Goblin Glory Chaser. That's right. 1-1 Renown, 1-1 Renown 1. So Carter plays a Apollo Chronos and is 1 mana away from Dragonlord Atarka, which would handle Bryce's board pretty well. We'll see what Bryce has for this turn and how he wants to handle this board state from Carter, who actually stacks up pretty well against a horde of 1/1 goblins. And Bryce is just going to pass the turn back to Carter. Carter's going to draw that Dragonlord Atarka, reveal a Rattleclaw Mystic. Let's see if he has a... He does. He has a 7th land. He's going to play that forest, go to 22. And it might be Dragonlord Atarka time. Or he might just Monstrous Apollo Chronos. And we're going to see an attack from Apollo Chronos. Depending on what Bryce does, this might be a Monstrous or just a beats and play a Dragonlord. Bryce is going to give Apollo Chronos a quick read to decide what he wants to do here. This, as explosive as the red deck has been, this hasn't been the best start. This start from Carter has been pretty overwhelming. Not looking good for the red deck. Yeah, looks like Bryce is just going to decide to chump the Apollo Chronos to stay at 20 life. Preserve that life total a little bit. And Carter is going to just play down Dragonlord Atarka. Let Bryce read that real quick. That's going to deal 5 damage to divide it among his creatures, and I'm sure Carter is going to assign that appropriately. And he's just going to take care of those 5 right there. So Bryce is left with a Monastery Swiftspear and 2 Goblin tokens, facing down 2 Coursers, Apollo Chronos, and a Dragonlord Atarka, which is not where you want to be if you are the red deck. And there's a Pile Driver from Bryce. A little bit late. Thinking about the rest of his turn. Not sure what he could have to get out of this. It would be pretty impressive if he could, though. Excuse me. And this is where the green-red deck just overpowers you. It can get into the late game by stemming the bleed from the mono-red deck and put a beating on them with their big creatures, their Apollo Chronoses, and their Dragonlord Atarkas, and their Planeswalkers, and just generate a lot of mana and overwhelm you really quickly. And this is an attack for 13 here from the Dragonlord and the Apollo Chronos. And Bryce is going to have to figure something out quick, or it is going to be game 2. And he is just going to take it, dropping himself to 7 life. And a Hoarded Queen from Carter is going to make it really, really difficult for Bryce to get through this board state. And Carter's going to grab his B tokens and pass the turn back to Bryce. And the 4 on the dice there is going to represent 4 Wasp tokens, or Insect tokens, with Flying Death Touch. And Bryce is going to dash in the Mardu Scout and attack with the team, triggering the Goblin Pile Driver for 2/4/6 +6/+0. Courser is going to take care of the Goblin tokens, or the Mardu Scout, the Goblin token. Hornet Queen is going to eat another Goblin token, and a Wasp is going to hit a Swift Spear and the Goblin Pile Driver. And Bryce is going to deal with the Wasp hitting the Goblin Pile Driver. So at the end of this, Carter is going to be left with pretty much his whole board minus 2 Wasps, and Bryce scoops it in after seeing another Dragon Lord Atarka sitting on top of Carter's deck. And that was a quick game 1. We'll see where this goes after game 2. Bryce is going to be on the play. Could be a little different if Carter has another slow start with an Elvish Mystic and off a tap land. It looked good in Bryce's favor until Carter played that the Coursers. 3 Coursers in a game is pretty hard for the red deck, especially when the red deck handles one but can't handle the other 2. Alright, this is round 4 of our standard FNM featuring wait, it should only be 3 rounds. This might be a 3rd round. I'm pretty sure this is a 3rd round. If it's standard, it's the 3rd round of our standard FNM, 8 players. Both players seem to be doing pretty well, of course, otherwise it won't be on camera. I'm not sure of the exact records. I have Kenny taking care of the matches and picking out the matches and what we covered. But both players are doing really well. We've seen Carter on camera once today already, and his deck has performed on all cylinders, and he has handled himself quite well as he prepares for regionals in the upcoming week. And he finishes his sideboarding, and it looks like both players are ready to go, shuffling up. Bryce has presented his deck. Carter's still shuffling. We'll get that taken care of, though, and get you to game 2 of our standard FNM round 3. Carter Newman is up 1-0 with his Green Red Devotion deck over Bryce Stevenson with his Red Deck Wins deck. And if you're Bryce, it's not going to get much better than this. It's just going to be he's going to be on the play. If Carter can come out with a quick mana accelerator that sticks around like a Sylvan Caryatid, it might be pretty difficult for Bryce to deal with. But we will see here very shortly. Alright, so Carter mulligans his hand. Bryce looks to be decently happy with his 7. At least he hasn't mulliganed yet. He may change his mind, though. We'll see. Carter views the 6. We'll see if he likes what he sees. He's showing something to somebody. You can tell by the shadow. He's definitely thinking it over. Yeah. The Mountain Nykthos has to ship it back. Not where you want to be. No green mana source against a mono red deck. Going to 5, so yeah, if you're Bryce, this is probably about as good as it's gonna get if you're gonna take down a game in this match. Bryce has to be pretty happy about Carter's unfortunate issues with his hands. And if Bryce has any kind of decent start, I see 2 mountains, a monastery, swift spear, dragon fodder.